What's up guys, we're the Peckluck Bros, and today we're bringing you a new video with the tier list for the hottest rookies from the 2020 draft class. Who should you invest in and who should you stay away from? Alright, so let's get into it. Starting with the QBs. Yeah, maybe a little bit controversial.
Maybe.
But I'm going to put
what you're going
Brock
to do.
Purdy in the C tier.
Ooh, hot take.
Very hot take. He's taken over. He's putting up Garoppolo-type numbers, which may suggest that it's Shanahan's scheme that is making him better. There's a lot of hype around him. We always say never buy on hype. So unless you find a really good deal, you might want to hold off on the Brock Purdy. He's also a late round. He's Mr. Irrelevant, so he's a very short leash.
And I believe when Trey Lance is coming back of his injury.
Yeah, he's a first rounder, so they're not going to cut him. Maybe they deal him, in which case, then you can start investing in Brock Purdy. Right, so that was number one.
All right, Zappy. I put him in the B tier. He played a few games when Mac Jones went out with an injury. He played really well, but then the bench was his place. And I believe it is his place for the coming season. I don't think you should invest in Bailey Zappi, but if you look at Bill Belichick's quarterbacks, like Jimmy G, Jacoby Brissett, they always wind up somewhere, a solid backup QB, or in the case of Jimmy G, a starting QB. So B.
B is safe. All right, next QB and our last QB, Kenny Pickett. I'm having a tough time with this one. I'm gonna put him in A, but it really depends on the price of his cards. I feel like the prices that I've seen weren't staggering, not like the Burrows and the Herberts.
Even the Purdy's right now.
And even the Purdy's right now, relatively decent. He's still a first round pick. He's coming into his own. The stats aren't great yet, but they have a good team around him. They have a really good head coach, a decent running back who's starting to play better as the season went on. So I'm going to say Kenny Pickett is high B, low A. So, if you can find a good deal, Kenny Pickett is
your QB.
Yeah.
The best QB out of this 2022 draft class.
Yes, also because he has a longer leash than the other two. The other two were later round picks, so they're more likely to get cut or traded. And the first rounder usually gets to play out his contract unless you're Sam Darnold.
All right. Sam Darnold. Shots fired. Kayvon Thibodeau. I'll place him in the C tier. Tips, better known for its Snow Angel when he injured Nick Foles, I believe. Yeah, he ain't it, in my opinion. He ain't it.
I mean, you gotta give the guy some time. I mean,
yeah, but Hutch, Hutch was also, and even Trayvon Walker, both were top 10 picks. Thibodeau as well. He hasn't got the stats. Only 4 sacks in 409 pass rush snaps.
Yeah, and he's
only
defense.
if the and he's defense, and only if the price is right, you should buy him. But no.
Yeah, unless you're a really big fan, in which case all of this doesn't really count anyway, because then you're not doing it from an investment standpoint, but from a personal collection standpoint. All right, so again, we're going over the edge rushers. I think that's important again to state that we're going for the skill positions. Those are the guys to invest in. And I'm going to put Sam Williams in D. He's had a good or a decent year with the Cowboys. 3 sacks in 160 pass rush snaps, which is pretty good. 11 hurries, but at the same time, he's not the main guy. As a Cowboys fan, you'll probably be better off investing in Parsons, who seems to also carry around the hype with him, which is always good. Not to invest in, but if you're selling, then definitely. So yeah, I'm going to put him in D tier, our first D tier.
Our first D tier. All right, I'm going to go for a dark horse, James Houston. I will place him above Sam Williams. And let me explain why. He's playing for the Lions, if you don't know. He only played 82 pass rush snaps, and he gathered 8 sacks, 4 hurries, 15 pressures. Those are stats, right?
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good numbers. 8 sacks and 80 pass rush attempts. That's crazy.
That's unbelievable. He has a high win rate when it comes to pass rush. So that's why I'm placing him in C tier. His cards are relatively cheap. So yeah.
Yeah, I think having more pass rush snaps and give him a bigger body of work would maybe put him in B tier, because then you can really say, okay, he might be the next big thing. But for now, I fully agree with you. His counterpart, Aiden Hutchinson.
B or A? Or C?
No. B or C.
Is he better than James Houston?
I'm going to... Yeah, I mean, you could also put him there in front of Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm going to put him in B just because he is very versatile. He also has 3 interceptions, which is crazy. I don't really watch the Lions, but I saw one the other day that was quite athletic. I think he's only going to get better. 9 sacks, 50 pressures, 5 hits. Overall on a, relatively poor, especially in the beginning, Detroit defense. I think he was holding his own, so I look forward to seeing what he can do in the future. So Aiden, B tier.
Correct. The last edge rusher is Jermaine Johnson. I will put him in D. Jermaine Johnson is an edge rusher picked in the top 20 of the 2022 draft class. He's knocking on the door, but he isn't there yet. He only got 3 sacks in 140 pass rush snaps, and that ain't good. Yeah, rest my case.
All right.
I've got nothing.
All right, I agree. I think D tier from an investment standpoint is fine. So unless you really like Jermaine Johnson as a player, you followed him in college, then I would say don't invest in him. Chris Olave, I'm going to put in A tier. He has been arguably the best wide receiver this year. Almost 1,000-yard season. He can get a few more touchdowns, but again, the Saints' offense wasn't great. And I say this as an Eagles fan who just got burned, but the offense only put up 10 points. So yeah, he's just a really good player, and I think he might be a candidate for at least Offensive Rookie of the Year.
All right.
So if you can get it relatively cheaply, I think this is a good investment.
An even better investment is Garrett Wilson. I will put him in front of Chris Olave.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's playing for the Jets, and the Jets don't have a good QB. Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White, those aren't franchise QBs.
No.
Terrible QBs, but he still managed to break the 1,000-yard mark, which is tremendous. 14 yards per reception, 94 passer rating when a QB throws a ball his way. So, in my opinion, he should be Offensive Rookie of the Year.
All right. Okay. So I'm not gonna go into that. I'm not gonna debate that. So another Saints wide receiver that I saw, he's an offensive player, so I'm gonna put him up in front of Thibodeau. Again, Brock Purdy is only because his price is so high. Otherwise, he might be in B tier as a really solid backup. Rashid Shaheed, I saw him play versus my Eagles. Otherwise, I haven't really watched the Saints. I don't really like the Saints. Sorry, Saints fans. But probably you don't like the Saints right now either. I was quite impressed with what he did. Showed off speed.
He found holes between the zones.
Find holes in the zones. Let's hope we don't put some of his highlights in there. Overall, decent wide receiver. Yeah. Not great. He's not going to be near your top wide receiver because Chris Olave is already on the offense and Mike Thomas might be coming back. But, I mean...
Christian Watson. Hey.
You called him Christian Wilson, which is interesting. But it should be Christian Watson.
Yeah. That's interesting. Christian Watson, read between the lines, please. He's the main guy of Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers is still playing relatively good football. He will be there for a couple of years after a start. But he has a connection with Christian Watson. I can see him, Devontae Adams-like bond between the both of them. So that's why I'm putting him in the A tier. That's high praise, I know. But mark my words, he's going to ball in 2023 as well.
All right. And I'm debating this one a lot, but I'm going to put Drake London in the B tier. He is an offensive player. So I'm going to put him in front of Aiden Hutchinson, but he's not a QB. I think Drake London has had a decent year.
Yep.
It's not a stunning year. I mean, the Falcons are a mess. They need to sort out the quarterback situation. Who's going to throw to him? He might be better. He has a really fantastic contested catch rate, but at the same time, does he get open well enough then? Who knows? That means he has a lot of coverage on him. Probably also because he's the only, with the other rookie running back that we'll get to, only decent offensive option with Kyle Pitts out. Yeah. So I'm going to put him in B tier. All right, cornerbacks. I'm going to start with Tariq Woolen. He's having a defensive rookie of the year kind of season. Mm-hmm. Really good stats, 600 snaps, 6 interceptions, opposing throwing rating of, 69%-ish?
Yeah.
That's really good. I think he's a really good player. We always tell you to stay away from defense, but in this case, I think he's solid. I'm even going to put him ahead of Aiden Hutchinson.
That's bold.
Yeah.
All right.
I think he's playing really well.
All right. Trent McDuffie, another player, and I will put him in the D tier in front of Jermaine Johnson.
No, I don't. Okay.
So let me explain. Yeah. Trent McDuffie, he's slightly undersized. He's in the 5'10". He is versatile. He's obviously not the cornerback number 1, which is Ladarius Sneed. In 376 coverage snaps, he allowed a passer rating of 83.4, 0 interceptions, and he allowed 182 yards. I can see him growing. DBs are the most difficult position to learn in the NFL, but currently D with I'm gonna you can veto it if you don't like it, but
no, I guess I think if you do it for investment, you want players to get a lot of picks because that looks good, then you build and create hype. So I think that's lacking. So in terms of investment, it could be something that you could invest in now and then maybe sell later as soon as he does start getting those interceptions. But I guess I don't feel strongly enough to veto it at this point. You might veto this though. I'm gonna put, when you ask me where I stand on this debate, I'm gonna put Sauce Gardner ahead of Tariq Woolen. I think he stepped in to the defense really, really well. He's still a defensive back. He's still a defensive player, which, you'll have to see it in perspective, I guess. If you can buy cheaper cards, then that's fantastic, but they will never really be a gold mine. Even if he turns out to be the next Deion Sanders, maybe Willie. Yeah. So we might look at this in a few years' time and call me crazy, but I think at this stage I can't put him in A. I just
no. And he's lacking interceptions. He's a lockdown corner.
Yeah.
He only allows 49
that's crazy.
passer rating.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. I think he is a defensive player of the year.
Yeah,
and maybe even defensive player of the year, defensive rookie of the year. I'm not gonna veto that one.
Okay.
In front of Tariq Woolen. All right. Dark horses. Deron Bland has a lot of picks, but I'm still going to put him in front of Trent McDuffie, behind Sam Williams. Deron Bland is playing for the Cowboys. 5 interceptions, 87 passer rating allowed. A lot of yards, by the way. 456. So, yeah, he's not an elite DB, but he's got some swag, with the interceptions, and
I mean,
he plays for a large fan base.
Yeah, so that helps. He got lucky in that Eagles game where he got 2.
You still got to catch the ball,
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Jamal Adams will swat it down,
Yeah, that's right. Stone hands. All right, fair enough. All right, I agree with the D tier anyway, so that's good. I'm going to put Jack Jones. I rate him slightly higher than the other DBs that we talked about. I'm going to put him at the end of C tier. He had a really hot start for Bill Belichick's defense. Once again, he found a diamond in the rough, or a diamond full stop. I think he's just he's a great player, but he's injured, so we'll need to see. I wouldn't invest at this stage, but he has a lot of potential. Although, if you look at the other J.C. Jackson, he was miserable in the Chargers. With the Chargers. So even cornerbacks, thrive with the right scheme.
Yep.
So let's see how he does.
Right. We're going to flip it to the offensive side of the ball, and we end this video with the running back class. How many? 6 names. And I'll start with Damian Pierce, not injured. He's the bell cow for the Houston Texans. I don't think he's that expensive from an investment standpoint. No. So that's why I'm up, and I put him in A.
No.
I put him in A. Yeah, he's the bell cow for the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans lack talent everywhere. Even Derek Stingley.
He literally carried the whole team.
He carried the whole team. He almost broke, maybe tonight he will break the 1,000-yard. Damian Pierce behind the receivers and the QBs we just mentioned, and before Seppi and London and Sauce. Yeah,
that's interesting. It's a little bit. What do you do with the rest? My point is, with these running backs, they have a short shelf life. I'm going to pick Kenneth Walker. I'm going to put him in B tier. He's an offensive player, so I'm going to put him in front of Sauce. He's played really well, very explosive player. He didn't even play all of the games, and he is, he's leading the team. He nearly has 1,000 yards in only 200 carries.
He's better than Pierce. So I'm gonna veto this one. All right. I will put Dameon Pierce here, and I put Kenneth Walker here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, if you can find cheap cards, I can get behind it. I just don't like a running back's career can be over in a second. If you look at Christian McCaffrey's prices over the years, that really fluctuated, really expensive. He comes from an expensive rookie class, which also drives up the price. But in terms of investment, if you can find it for cheap, definitely go for it. I think he's a stud.
He's going to.
But don't overpay for running backs, just like the NFL. That was mine, so now it's your turn.
Alright, I'm going for a dark horse. James Cook, the little brother of Dalvin Cook, is playing for the Minnesota Vikings. James Cook is playing for the Bills. Josh Allen throws a lot, so he's got limited snaps. I will put him in the C tier in front of Thibodeau. There he goes. Okay. Alright, James Cook, his stats are off the board, in my opinion. 80 carries, 462 yards, 5.8 per carry.
I mean, he's crazy. He's just underutilized, so I guess that's why we're putting him in C.
Yeah, it's a great investment. No, not a great investment, but a decent investment.
Yeah, you can probably pick his cards up.
Yeah, that's why we mention him.
All right. I'm going to go for Breece Hall, and I'm going to put him in B tier. And I'm going to put him behind Dameon Pierce. Yeah. I understand that he was so valuable to what the Jets were doing and why they had so much success early in the season. His stats just jump out at you. He is fantastic. Also, almost 6 yards per carry, a lot of explosive runs, 4 touchdowns. He got hurt, and I believe it's an ACL. I want to see him come back from that. So before that time, don't invest too much in him. Let's see how he does. If you can find cards that are relatively cheap, go for it. If you're a Jets fan and he's your personal favorite, then go for it. But in terms of buying his expensive rookie cards, careful.
Be careful. All right. I'm going for Tyler A. Is it Algier? I don't know. How do you pronounce his surname?
If it's 2 L's and it's Allgeier?
Allgeier is he a dark horse? He's the bell cow for the Atlanta Falcons.
I think he's had a great year.
He's a great year.
Even with sharing the backfield with Patterson, Cordero. I'm getting 900 yards, 5 runs per carry.
Behind Breece Hall then.
Yeah. Sounds good.
He isn't that explosive. He's more of a bowling ball, in my opinion.
Yeah, he does have 44 missed tackles, which is...
Yeah, he runs mad, bro.
Yeah, okay.
Only 3 touchdowns, by the way.
Yeah, but that's because the Falcons don't get touchdowns.
No.
I'm sorry. But
yeah, and he almost has 1,000 yards.
Exactly, so he did really well, especially sharing the backfield. All right, rounding off, we're going to put Brian Robinson all the way at the back of C tier, I guess.
Behind Jack Jones and James Houston?
No, we can't. No, we have to. Okay, behind James Cook. He's playing in a market that's not very popular, and I'm saying this nicely because nobody cares about the Redskins. Sorry, you can't even say that anymore. Nobody cares about the Commanders. I apologize. He played well. He played well, but he has a low yards per carry, especially compared to the others, 3.9 per carry, which is still decent, but not fantastic. 18 explosive runs, 2 touchdowns. Unless you're a big Commanders fan, invest. Otherwise, I would suggest you stay away, and that's pretty much it.
Alright guys, that was the video of the tier list of the 2022 draft class. Like and subscribe if you like our style and content, and if you have a name that we didn't include in this list, let us know down in the comment section, and hope to see you next time.
See you next time.